Just no.
Welcome. Guys, it's been a rough week, man. Specifically, rough 2 days. We ended the season 0-5 on the 5-game losing streak. We backed our way into the play-in game, and now we held on to the 8th seed by this much for a whole week and a half, and now we're the 10th seed in the play-in game. And to the people that bought tickets to the play-in game, sorry.
Refunds will be available soon.
Refunds available soon. But guys, man, look, I want to specifically talk about that Knicks game first, man. Jamal, expound on what your feelings about that Knicks game, man.
I have an announcement to make. I'm not here to talk about Hornets basketball. I'm here to talk about alcohol. Have y'all had Maker's Mark 46? This is some good stuff, man.
I'll try it.
But we have to talk about the Hornets, right?
Yes, it's kind of
okay.
Kind of what we do.
No, yeah, it's kind of what we do, right? Okay, all right. Back to the Hornets here. I'm first of all, I'm going to get to the Knicks, but I just want to say it's hard for me to find words when it comes to this collapse, because that's what it is. I know we've had a lot to deal with, but this is a collapse, and there's no other way to look at it. Now, to the Knicks game, JB has emphasized a lot how important it is to not only start games well, but how important it is to finish games well. And we didn't do either in that Knicks game. The meat of our success in that game, came late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. And, I like the way we battled back in that game. We showed some guts. We showed some mental toughness. But there's this alarming pattern that's been happening the last 5 or 6 games. And we run out of gas at the wrong time. And we ran out of gas in the overtime period. I know that it is law around Charlotte to blame the centers for everything that goes wrong on this team. But I'm sorry, man. PJ Washington and Malik Monk are about to give some smoke today. Let me just put that disclaimer out. Washington and Monk are getting smoke today. PJ Washington offensively was absolutely horrific. Malik Monk was non-existent. Lamelo Ball and Terry Rozier were like 8 for 29 that game.
Hey. You can't criticize Lamelo. You're not supposed to do that.
I know
you're not supposed to do that.
I just broke the law, and I'm sorry about that. Here's the thing, guys. At this point in the season, you need guys who are going to give you buckets. Our struggle is with handling the opposite team's bigs, and as far as keeping them off the backboards and keeping them from scoring, we get it. That's the running theme for the year. But at the end of these games, to close out these games, we are way too reliant on 2 or 3 people. And that's been the case for the last 5 or 6 games. If we're not relying on Devontae, we're relying on Terry. If we're not relying on those 2, we're relying on Miles. This team cannot play that way. We need everybody to contribute and to be consistent. In this last month or so, man, we haven't gotten that, man. And that showed itself in that Knicks game. That Knicks game was a microcosm for how this last month has gone for this team.
Yeah, the Knicks game, I didn't think they would win that game, honestly.
I didn't
Let me tell you this about the Knicks because there's a lot of people in the group or in the NBA that want to tout the success of the Knicks. Julius Randle played 71 games this season. There is no starting Charlotte Hornet anyway, that played 71 games this season. The Knicks stayed healthy when everyone else that was above them in the Eastern Conference started having injuries. Now, I'm not saying that to discredit the Knicks, but what I'm saying is that when you stay healthy, you get to build that chemistry, and it makes you a better team along the way. I'm going to say it's everyone in the group, and if I see we're going to see a lot of these types of posts, so get ready for the smoke from Kaiser Sose. Any evaluation of the Hornet season that does not account for injuries is not valid. and void because these people were so quiet when the Charlotte Hornets were 4 seed and were 4 games ahead of the New York Knicks in the standings, and we were perfectly healthy. And then all of a sudden, Gordon Hayward gets hurt. Malik Monk gets hurt. Devontae Graham starts having issues. Terry Rozier goes out for a while. All of our
PJ missed games.
PJ missed time. At one point, 60% of the Hornets' offense were gone at the same time. So if you're telling me that you predicted that to happen, then we need to talk about lottery ticket numbers. But if you didn't predict that the Hornets at 60% of their scoring would be off the table at one point, then I don't really want to hear what you got to say about, well, we kind of knew this was happening. No, none of that matters.
Yeah, none of that matters. And so, I mean, look, man, this is my issue. Everybody wants to knock on JB. Listen, if you came into the season and told me we were going to be in the play-in game with a chance to be the 7th or 8th seed at the end of the week, like I would have called you crazy. This man has led this team above water despite the injuries. And for us to say he was out coached, look, players have to execute these plays. Look, yesterday Devontae Graham was wide open and missed the 3. Today he was wide open and missed the 3 to tie. Players have to execute.
Yeah.
And I mean that's just the simple thing of it. It's not there.
I want to speak to your point real quickly, Rodney, because another thing I think that we're not really giving a lot of credence to is specifically how JB has to manage minutes. Let me break this down for people who may not understand. JB has to go with the guys that he trusts. That every single coach in the NBA would tell you the same thing. They're going to go with the guys that they trust. That makes it exponentially harder when you got guys who are coming back from injury, who are not in rhythm, Malik Monk. You got guys who are not hitting their shots, PJ Washington. You have an obvious position that you need to upgrade, center. JB is having to manage all of that on the fly. Hindsight is 2020. You can go back and say, man, he should have did this, he should have did that, blah, 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 blah. He's dealing with one of his leading scorers not being available. He's dealing with the Cody Martin injury. I'm going to tell you why that's a big deal. Cody Martin not playing is another body that you can't rely on. So what does that mean? That means more minutes for the guys that you're going to have to go trust. I'm hoping I'm making sense when I say that. Miles, Terry, Devontae, these guys are getting big minutes because JB trusts them. The more minutes they play, the more likely it is that they're going to run out of gas. As a coach, that is a very tough position to be in when you don't have the bodies to manage the minutes like you want to.
Gotcha. So, guys, man, look, there was a lot of chatter going on yesterday. Are you guys comfortable with Lamelo Ball not playing after the third quarter yesterday? I mean, I me personally, I understand it, but there's just some things that need an answer. So what do you guys think?
Kyle, take this one first.
Yeah, I think that Devontae was on fire yesterday.
Yeah,
or against the Knicks, and I just think, like Jamal just said, comes down to trust. Who do you trust more in a game situation like this? There's something real quick I want to say about LaMelo Ball that no one seems to realize. This is the most games he's ever played in a season.
Yeah.
Even missing 21 games or however he missed with the injury, LaMelo Ball and the ABL only played like 12 regular season games.
Oh, but Kaiser, he's only 19.
Yeah, he's only 19. And what people fail to realize is that as an athlete, your body is used to whatever your regimen is. And then if you add something to that, your body has to adjust. That's why Melo's shooting has declined. That's why he's been in a little bit of a shooting slump. His body has to readjust, and he came off a wrist injury that he's kind of favoring, but his body has to adjust to, like, dude, this is the most basketball you've ever played in your life. And you can kind of see out there in the fourth quarter, LaMelo kind of tired. He's out there. So I think that, yesterday JB just said, look, I got more trust in Devontae and Terry. That I think it's as simple as that. And as we saw today, LaMelo got big minutes late in the game. for all the good that it did. So I'm not too worried about Lamelo, sitting yesterday.
I mean, I'll say it. Look, nobody else wants to say it. I'll say it. He didn't get minutes because he played terrible. Let's start there. He wasn't good yesterday. That's why he didn't get minutes going down the stretch. I just gave you a stat. Him and Terry were 8 for 29 yesterday. He couldn't stop the New York Knicks guards from getting in the paint. That's why he didn't play going into the fourth quarter. And I think it's just a lazy narrative to say, oh, well, JB just has his favorite guys to go. No, to Kaz's point, that's why LaMelo played in the fourth quarter today, because he was better today. So I don't want to hear it, man. To me,
19 points today. I mean, he was all over the court. He was doing his thing.
Right. And and the thing is, I've always thought LaMelo has responded to coaching. We've said this on this show a lot, man. I think he responded better today. Now, again, hindsight is 2020. With all that being said, would I have inserted LaMelo at least for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter? I probably would have, only because everybody else was so gassed. Everybody else was playing heavy minutes. Again, what seems to be the theme this last week. But that just goes back to what I just said, man. It's hard to manage this team with so many injuries, and not just the injuries, but the people who are coming back from injuries and the people who are out of rhythm. It's no time to throw guys out there that you don't trust. And that it's just not the time for that, man.
Gotcha. So, guys, man, on Tuesday, as punishment, we go to Indianapolis. We play the Pacers team, who is hobbled themselves, not very good on defense. And if we win that game, we possibly see Washington again, which is highly likely, or we see Boston. What are your chances for us to actually make it into the 8th seed?
I'm going to say high. I don't think that as devastating as the loss today feels, and we'll talk about it more in a bit, but it's not the end of the world. Like you said, the Pacers are a little bit hobbled. The Hornets match up well with the Pacers. For some reason, Miles Turner can't do a damn thing against Cody Zeller. It's like Zeller loves that matchup because he always wins it. It sucks that we have to play them on the road, but I think the Hornets, they're mad. They're upset. They had 2 games that they should have and could have won, one against a team that really, the Wizards really aren't as good as the Hornets. They sucked the entire season except for this game. They hadn't been as good as the Hornets. So
somebody told me they were scorching hot.
Right. So, if we beat Indiana and Boston wins, then we go back to Washington to play a team, and the Hornets are going to want to get some get back in a game they felt like they should have won. I'm going to say their chances of making the real 8th seed pretty good.
If we get it looks like if we get the 8th seed, we would have to play Brooklyn,
Philly, actually.
Philly. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd rather play Brooklyn than Philly.
Absolutely.
Brooklyn's team chemistry.
They don't have that continuity.
Yeah, Brooklyn is relying solely on star talent. And Kyrie Irving made a statement yesterday that basketball, he don't even give.
He don't even care. He don't care.
He wants to go fight the war on Gaza Strip. So I'd much rather play. And that's not a downplay of what's happening in Israel. But that's what he said. Like, hey, man, I'm worried about what's going on over there. Basketball is not important to me right now. That's a direct quote from Kyrie Irving. I'd rather play those guys than Philly, who seems to be kind of locked in a little bit more.
Yeah. To answer your question, man, I give us a 50-50 chance, man. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I believe this to be true too much, man. If we don't get anything, and when I say get anything, I mean putting the ball in the basket. If PJ Washington and Malik Monk don't hurry up and show up, it is going to be a very short play-in situation for the Charlotte Hornets. I will stick by that. I'm sticking to my guns when it comes to that, man.
I don't. It's funny because with like the last 2 years, and even the beginning of the season, it was like, what are we going to do we got to figure out something to do about PJ Washington and Miles Bridges, because that's figured out.
That's figured out.
Needs to start. Gordon Hayward needs to start when it comes back, and then you bring PJ off the bench, and he can either play the 4, the 3, and then even maybe the 5. Some that's what you do. I mean, that's it. I try not to get on PJ's case because I understand it's been a tough season for PJ. He's been asked to play out of position. He's been asked to do stuff that he's never done before in his basketball life.
He had a baby.
Defend. Be a defensive center, and you're only like 6'7", and he's a new father. As someone who has 5 kids, trust me, I know how that can turn your life upside down.
And then on top of that, and then you got to think about it too. They didn't have a full off season.
No,
it was very condensed, and so that could have possibly kind of stagnated some of his growth too as well.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not going to give him too much slack, but it's clear that Miles Bridges turned that corner.
Listen. That context is A+, guys. I agree with everything y'all said. But the reality is, if we have to keep relying on 1 or 2 guys to put the ball in the basket in the fourth quarter, it lowers our chances of winning. It's not really fair. This month I'm giving PJ Washington, but
Gordon Hayward, man.
Yeah, what I see with a lot of other teams, the Hornets never get beat by like the other team's star players.
It's Robin Lopez and Ish Smith, right?
And Bertans and those guys. That's what the Hornets need. We don't. Our guy that is like that is Malik Monk. You might, and if you get an outstanding game from Malik Monk, the Hornets will win that game.
Yeah.
But that comes once, maybe once a week. So
I'm glad you brought up Ish Smith because again, every time the Hornets lose, we have to we look on social media, and there's 5,000 mentions of how bad we need a center. But let me explain something to y'all. And this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. We also have a problem with keeping the opposing players' guards out the lane, and that was
defense.
Thank you. That was a huge problem today with Ish Smith. Ish Smith cannot hurt you shooting the ball from 3. He can't hurt you shooting the jumper. He hurts you when he gets in the lane and he starts creating for other guys. That allows Bertans to get open. That allows pick and roll situations with Robin Lopez. And that doesn't get talked about enough, man. And our guards, outside of Lamelo, our guards are pretty small, you know what I mean, compared to other NBA guards. And I just think that needs to be addressed as well. When fans are heated about why JB goes zone so much, that's why, because we can't keep anybody's guards out of going to the lane whenever they want to.
Gotcha. Man, let me ask you guys a question, man. Gordon Hayward.
Who?
If we don't talk about people on the team.
Look, $30 million, he's on the team. he's on the team. So let me frame it like this. If he's available to play in the play-in tournament, do you play him?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You play Gordon Hayward if he can play. I don't care if he's 75%. You play him. Well, for one, he's making more money than anybody on the team. And 2, people have not acknowledged the drastic difference in the team with Gordon Hayward not playing when he plays. Even when he doesn't have a stellar game, the Hornets offense seems to flow better because what teams tend to do against the Hornets, they don't like the pace with the Hornets. And if you notice today in the game of Washington, they couldn't keep up. And then how did the Washington Wizards win the game? They slowed the pace down. Played half court sets, and then got back on defense, transition defense, to make the Hornets play a half court game, which is not their strength without Gordon Hayward. With Gordon Hayward on the court, the Hornets can kind of slow the game down because he's a capable scorer from anywhere. I think you have to play him.
And not just a capable scorer, but he's a creator. He's a shot creator too.
Yeah. And he's actually an underrated rebounder. The guy's 6'8". I mean, it is a huge advantage.
To me, he's our only wing player that can create their own shot off the bounce.
Well,
and he's a secondary ball handler, kind of to take that pressure off of Lamelo, which is really needed. Because I really don't consider Terry a ball handler. He's more of a scorer.
Yeah, I don't think Terry's like a primary ball handler. He can be for the Hornets, but the Hornets looked a lot more comfortable sometimes when Gordon Hayward was bringing the ball up the court. And then that makes the defense has to be honest at this point. I don't think they're doing that all that much. And if you look, they're out there trying to kill LaMelo. They're out there roughing him up and putting a lot of pressure on him. And
basketball, he got to learn how to adjust.
I think that's great because like you said, LaMelo will learn. I will say this though, I mean, I don't think the Hornets cannot hide anything about a player's injury, as we all know. Teams are not allowed to do that. You must disclose. But I kind of think that ankle is a lot worse
than they're leading on.
Is letting on. That was the same ankle as the one that he broke 2-3 seasons ago. Either the Hornets are being overly cautious because originally he was only supposed to be out 4 weeks. This is the 5th week, or it was, and don't get me wrong, we saw the injury. It was pretty bad, but part of me thinks that maybe there is something the Hornets aren't saying.
Yeah. Gotcha. I want to just real quick, man, on Gordon Hayward being out. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've seen. Now, I think we all agree Terry Rozier is at his best when he's catching and shooting. We prefer him off the catch and shoot more than we do trying to create a shot. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've seen way less of catch and shoot Terry Rozier since Gordon Hayward has been out. There's less of those opportunities. And with less of those opportunities, man, the Hornets offense has just been, laboring like they haven't been laboring all season, man. So it's a bigger deal than I think people are making it that Gordon Hayward is out, man.
Guys, before we wrap this thing on up, man, I got a question. If you were to give JB a grade for the season, and when the season is over, we're going to fully expound on this a little more. Just give me like a short sentence why. If you had to give him a grade, what would your grade be for him? And also for Gordon Hayward, it's his foot, not his ankle.
Okay, his foot.
If I had, that's tough, man. If my first thought is either a solid B or B minus, honestly. Because the thing is, man, I mean, just going back to what I said, man, everybody gives JB gruff about his rotations, mainly because he doesn't play their favorite player 45 minutes a game. But, going back to what I said, man, there's just so much to deal with and still trying to figure out, who he trusts, because, I mean, there's had to be, not because of, just him wanting to experiment with different stuff. There's had to be so many different lineups because of guys being out all season, man. And those adjustments have just been difficult to make. I don't know if people think we're a championship roster, but, that was sarcasm, by the way. I mean,
no. People really do believe that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at, man. It's not like we have a Brooklyn Nets roster, so that makes his job even tougher to try to adjust to that, man. But mainly grading on, what we were when we were healthy, man. I mean, I have to go with a solid B, man. But the B minus just comes from the last week or so.
Gotcha.
In a vacuum, I'd give him a C. But if you look at the context of the season, and the expectations of the Hornets, I think you got to put him in the B range. I mean, those of you in the chat, most of you guys are in the Hornets Facebook group. There was a post that was made before the season started. How many wins do you think the Hornets are going to get? And it was like, above 30 or 25. And a lot of people didn't have the Hornets winning 25 games. ESPN Power Rankings had us as the second worst team in the league. And to be in the position to fight, not just for a playoff spot, but for a 4th seed, and then have all these injuries and have to figure out rotations and deal with the LaMelo Ball situation, because that's a situation. I mean,
right, no doubt.
We drafted like a day one. This kid is a superstar. Even if he's not quite playing to that level yet, this guy got 5 million Instagram followers in a reality show. Having to deal with that, having to deal with his dad, LeVar Ball, a shortened, compressed NBA season, having to do all those things. And somehow the team, I'll say this about the Hornets, they do not quit. No. They will fight till the last 0 ticks off that clock. And in my opinion, if they didn't if the team, felt some kind of way about Coach Borrego, then they wouldn't do that. And I'd give him a solid B based on the expectations of the Hornets. I will say this: someone in the chat asked, "How long do we give JB with this team?" We've said this before. Next season, you have to not just make the playoffs, but you got to be good. You got to the Hornets are going to have to be 4, 5, or 6 next season. It took Pete Clifford 3 years to take the Hornets to the playoffs. So it would be JB's.
So you're expecting like a Atlanta Hawks type jump?
I don't see why not. I truly don't see why not, Rodney. But here's an outlier to this. And here's what I don't like about that question. And to the person who asked it, I'm not coming down on you for asking the question. But here's what I don't like about that. Where's the pressure on Mitch Kupchak? I mean, the thing is, I think Mitch has done a solid job since he's been here. I don't have too much bad to say about Mitch Kupchak, but I think it is highly unfair to blame JB for this roster not having a better record. We have a glaring need at center. That's obvious. That's the Captain Obvious statement of the day. It is on Mitch Kupchak to correct that in the offseason. You also have to figure out, what are you going to do with Malik Monk? What are you going to do with Devontae Graham? Those things have to be figured out in the offseason. So before I go off on this tangent about what I expect from JB, I'm actually in the mindset of, what should we expect from Mitch Kupchak in the offseason? Right. Because Mitch Kupchak is not a guy who does a lot of transactions during the season. Historically, he doesn't make trades and all this other stuff during the season. In the offseason is where he makes his moves. So I'm keeping my eye on that guy as opposed to JB.
Look, I'm going to give him a solid B. You got to think, like Jamal alluded to, man, like he was always kind of playing behind the 8 ball. We never had the adequate big man help all season. And you look at it, man, Cody Zeller got injured the first game and missed like a month.
Right.
and he's obviously your best true center on the team. And then the myriad of injuries all year, rotations messed up, Miles catches COVID at the wrong time. I mean, to keep us even in the play-in game, within that 8 seed range, man, that's just a miracle in itself. And then we weren't even expected to win 25 games this year.
Yeah.
You look at the Vegas odds that they had us under 30. And Vegas is usually kind of right.
I mean, we all seen the Hornets play. If the Hornets are healthy, are we even having this conversation?
Kaiser, I'm glad you said that, because I want everybody listening right now to think about one thing. Think about how the Hornets were playing before Gordon Hayward got hurt. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Just think about the Hornets at that point in time in the season.
And guys, I got a stat for you. Kyle Bailey tweeted this. The Hornets are 8-16 since Gordon Hayward went down with his injury on April the 2nd. That's enough said.
I don't know what else to say, bro.
That's all you need to know right there.
All you need to know.
If Julius Randle had gone down, the Knicks would be in the play.
They'd be the Hornets. They'd be the Hornets.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Guys, man, look. We had a little bit of drama in Panther Nation this week, man. Kaz's boy, Teddy Noodle Arm Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
You put the Panthers under the bus, man. I'm just trying to figure out what was his beef. He said that the Panthers specifically did not practice 2-minute situations, and there was a lot to be desired with their schedule. I mean, Matt Rule came out a couple of days later and said, "Nah, bro, that's not true." And then I heard Kyle Bailey on the radio. He said he was like, he talked to some players and people in there, and he was like, "We specifically run these plays. Like, we don't know what Teddy's talking about."
No. Okay.
So, guys, who do you believe? Kaiser, you got smoke.
I believe Matt Rule, and I'm going to tell you why. The Green Bay game. Teddy Bridgewater. Here's the situation. Don't do this. What does Teddy Bridgewater do? This. We lose the game. Yeah, Teddy probably did. They probably out there running 2-minute drills and goal line plays. And
Teddy wasn't there. Teddy wasn't there.
Teddy, if he throw past 5 yards, woo, that's a bomb, bro. So, 2-minute drill while we passing 7 yards. So, I don't know, man. The whole Teddy, and this is why I give Teddy so much smoke. I felt like it was pretty clear to anyone that knew Panthers football and football in general that the Teddy Bridgewater experiment was not going to work. You don't go from Cam Newton to Teddy Bridgewater. you just don't. And I think a lot of people felt like, well, it can be a good stopgap, which could have still been the case maybe, but I don't think Teddy wanted to be a stopgap. Teddy wanted to be the guy. Teddy wanted to be able to make the same decisions that Cam Newton was able to make. He wanted to be a playmaker. I mean, we knew that he couldn't, but Teddy's got a lot of confidence in himself. So, and I think that's where the clash between him and Matt Rule was. Matt Rule comes from being a college coach, so he's used to coaching college players and college egos. NFL guys are a whole nother thing. And if a guy feels like, man, I'm gonna win it on the goal line, forget what the coach say, then he gonna do it. So yeah, and it's weird because there have been a ton of former Panthers players that have had legitimate beef with the Panthers. Cam Newton, Steve Smith, D'Angelo Williams, and they never really come out and badmouth the team. Even Steve Smith,
he won't do it. He really won't do it.
He won't do it. He'll take like little on the field digs, like they can cut my grass or whatever. But he never comes out and talks about the coaching staff or the ownership or whoever. Even D'Angelo Williams, who we know has got beef with him, hasn't done it. Cam Newton doesn't do it. But Teddy Bridgewater couldn't wait.
He couldn't wait. I mean, he ain't been out of a Panthers uniform for 6 months.
He could not wait to spill the beans and snitch. So, one of the people in the comments, Rule in the front office deserves criticism for bringing them in. I don't disagree with that. I think they were all in on Teddy.
I don't disagree.
They gave him $63 million and was like, all right, dude, don't put the ball over the goal line.
Look, man.
I'm still mad at that.
F it.
I'll just say the proof is in the pudding. I mean, how much more proof did we need of that being correct, man? How many fourth quarter drives stalled, man? How many red zone opportunities to win games stalled? How many examples do we need of Teddy Bridgewater changing the play to something that wasn't going to work? I mean, again, the proof is all in the pudding, man. I actually do believe Teddy Bridgewater, but at the same time, he has a whole lot of culpability himself, man. So I think actually both parties were wrong in this situation. Interesting quote by Matt Rule. Matt Rule goes on to say, I'm not going to delve into specifics about our process. Some of that is specific to us. But I feel really good about our preparation, the amount of work our coaches put in, and the amount of work our players put in. The amount of practice work, I think we pushed them in a really smart way. The fact that you don't want to delve into specifics, let me know that you had some big-time culpability in all this too, Mr. Matt Rule. He also went on to say that, yes, we could do some things differently going forward. So both guys are actually kind of right in this particular scenario, man.
Jamal, I got some pushback, man. Like, you didn't have a winning season, so I mean, you always want to kind of tweak some things to me. Even if you win and you see you get better in, I mean, look, Matt Rule has been in the NFL before. Joe Brady has, and a couple of assistants have relationships. I'm inclined to believe they practice 2-minute drills and goal line. So I'm like, it may not be enough.
Well, here's the thing:
where Teddy thinks it's enough, but
right,
Teddy's not a franchise guy. I don't care what Teddy thinks. At the end of the day, I mean, just throwing that out there.
And let's be specific really quickly, man. Teddy Bridgewater explained something to the effect of, like, when it got to Friday and Saturday, this is when we practice red zone situations and 2-minute drills. And he's basically saying that's probably not enough. So to me, man, it just all goes to show just going back to what Kaza said, this was just a bad fit from the jump. Let's just keep it plain and flat, man. This, for multiple reasons, man, this was just a bad fit, and these were two guys that were not on the same page, man, and it showed its ugly head during the season. Did it ever? So the proof was in the pudding once again. And like a chat, like one of our chatters is saying, bottom 5 and too many inefficiency and red zone efficiency, man. I don't know how much more proof you need.
Yeah, man, you got a point, man. I'm to be honest with you, I'm kind of concerned that they're kind of big on analytics, and analytics might be kind of saying, hey, instead of just doing this much, we need to rest a little bit. I'm a big proponent of analytics plus the eye test and plus the feel of things. So
I got a question.
What's up?
How is that any different from quote unquote Riverboat Ron? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, wasn't Ron Rivera big on the odds, playing the odds and the analytics? Wasn't he big on that? So
I don't think
his number, man.
I don't think he was. Ron Rivera was an old school. I think Ron Rivera coached by feel, his gut. You know what? I should go for it. And sometimes we watch the game and you're like, you know what? Panthers they should just go for it. You feel the game. You know the momentum. You see what the other team is trying to do, and you think, now's our time to do it. I think that rule is the complete opposite, in which he may take numbers in a vacuum, and if he decides not to do a 2-minute drill or practice as much because the analytics say that situation is unlikely to happen that much, which is actually true. But analytics also says you should never punt and you should go for 2 every time. Analytics will tell you that is how you should play football. And there isn't a coach in the NFL that is going to go for it on 4th and go for 2 every time. So I think you're right. It could be that Matt Rule is, his approach to coaching. I mean, he's a rookie NFL head coach. He's going to make mistakes and he's got to learn from them just like his predecessor did. So, if what Teddy was saying was factually true, okay, but like you said, Teddy's got to shoulder some of that blame as well, because we saw him reach the ball over the goal line and fumble. We also saw him throw 2 yards on a 4th and 10. We saw these things like every week, so maybe it was a little bit of both. I think you're right.
Kaz, I have a feeling that nothing made you more mad than that goal line play.
Dude, I turned it off after. I'm like, I'm done.
Dog, I almost jumped through the screen. Y'all know how big my screen. I tried to jump through it to get to Teddy. Bro,
I got a question, man. So being that Scott Fitterer is an analytics guy, and it seems like David Tepper is all on board with the analytics thing, man. How much of that do you see that being on field stuff next season? Like the next goal line situation we have, how much is that going to play into that?
I don't know, man. Scott Fitterer is, to me, is just a complete mystery at this point. I mean, I like some of the trades he did in the draft. I'm just interested to see what did Rule learn from his first year and how he's going to adjust. Like, I really can't call it until I see after this season. I'm like, okay, you made better adjustments after the half. You helped call this play. You found this personnel. I mean, it's a wait and see thing for me right now.
Right.
I think we'll see a lot on the field. I think they drafted Brady Christensen because of analytics. Because from an analytics standpoint, he was the best offensive lineman in college football, like college football history, actually, according to analytics. So, yeah, I know, right? I think it was a good pick, but I don't know about all that. But, so I think we'll see more of it. Maybe not in the calls they make. I don't know if he'll have like a cheat sheet that says, okay, it's a 47.2% chance.
That's exactly what I'm envisioning.
I don't know about that. But I think the construction of the roster definitely will be Moneyball. It will be analytics driven. We've already seen that through the draft. I certainly think so. I I think we're going to see guys at certain positions. When I'm talking about how the roster is filled in on the back end, not the first 22, but them other guys. It's gonna be just a bunch of numbers that they use to determine who gets those slots.
I mean, that part is actually refreshing, being that historically we normally just throw away the other guys. We don't really use them, and then when we do, we release them the next season. So that part is actually refreshing.
Hey guys, man, look, this is completely random. I was on Twitter today, and I looked at the 2011 Panther draft. What the hell was Dave Gettleman doing after Cam Newton? It's like he was just throwing darts at the board. Like it was like 7 picks in a row.
No, that was Marty. That was Marty.
Oh, that was Mark. That was
2011 with Marty. Yeah.
Ooh, that was look, man. That had to be an all-time worst draft. Like that was completely.
But Ronnie, are you surprised? What do we always say about Hurney? You have him first round pick, and then you lock him in the closet.
I didn't know it was that bad. I was like, oh my god, nobody's stuck.
To be fair though, he got criticized for the Cam Newton pick. Remember, a lot of people thought that I can't even remember his name because he's probably not in the NFL now. What's his name?
Blaine Gabbert.
A lot of people felt like Blaine Gabbert was the best quarterback in the draft. Cam Newton, a lot of mock drafts didn't even have Cam Newton going in the first round, which is like mind-blowing. And it just goes to show that sometimes scouts get it wrong because there's such a vast difference. And this isn't every professional sport. There's such a vast difference between the pro game and the college game. And scouts never tend to account for that. They look at what they do in college in a vacuum, and they don't say. No one seems to see. Well, okay, what Cam Newton is doing. If he could do this in the NFL, man, he'd be unstoppable, and that's what he did. Thank God, Marty Hurney was like, "No, we want that guy." So he drafted Cam Newton. I'll let him slide on everybody else in that draft because no one knew what was going on in that draft.
Guys! Before we move on, one of our lovable past Panthers is he got signed with the New York Jets. The New York Giants to win. Okay, look, I saw on Facebook. Why couldn't we make him a tight end in Carolina? You want to expound on that, or you just want to leave that alone?
Okay.
Where do you go with this? Go ahead, Cos.
Okay. First,
I'm just throwing curveballs, man.
First of all, we had Greg Olsen.
You know what, Kaza? You can stop right there.
Right there. Actually. Like we had like one of the two best tight ends in the league playing tight end already. I don't know what else we were supposed to do with him.
Look, man, I'm going to try my best.
Somebody said it was coaching's fault. It was coaching's fault.
Stop. Look, the coach doesn't put the spoon and the fork to his mouth. Stop it. I don't want to hear it, man.
Dude was out there looking like King Latifah. Set it off.
Oh! You said King Latifah.
I can't help it. Bojangles has ruined many a professional athlete's career. So he's no exception.
Hey, look, man.
Ain't no Bojangles in New York. Thank you.
The night Kelvin Benjamin got drafted, man, I had some keys in my hand and I threw them down on the ground as hard as I could because I did not like the draft pick from the jump, man. I don't have to tell you how much of a Florida State fan I am, but I saw this kid at Florida State and I knew he was going to be a big receiver who could not put it together in the NFL. Kelvin Benjamin, with all the natural talent and ability and the size that he had, he never did the little things. And that's what concerns me about him being the tight end. Is Kelvin Benjamin going to block for anybody? I mean, seriously, is he going to put his body on the line to block for his teammates? We all remember there was how many games did Kelvin Benjamin lose for us by running the wrong route, causing Cam Newton to throw an interception or not blocking the guy when he's supposed to?
Hey, I got a hot take. Kelvin Benjamin is the reason why Cam Newton's arm. I'm just gonna leave that alone. He gave up on the play. I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Let me repeat myself. How many times did that kind of stuff happen when he was in Carolina? I'm gonna leave it at that.
I think it's funny, not really funny, but Steve Smith. Steve Smith's like 5'9". Maybe if he's wearing Nike Air Max, like 5'9", 200 on a good day, and he was a superior blocker than Kelvin Benjamin. In fact, if Steve Smith wasn't going to catch, if he knew he wasn't going to catch the ball that play, he was going to knock somebody out. He was going to kill somebody. Kelvin Benjamin was just, and I think it's very telling the things that he had to say about Cam Newton after he left the team, which that just tells me all I need to know about Kelvin Benjamin, the type of NFL player.
Listen, it almost went. I'll go as far to say it sounded like he was blaming Cam Newton for his shortcomings, and we see how it ended up for Kelvin Benjamin.
He said, "quote anybody but Cam Newton." Okay, well, there's anybody.
Here's anybody.
Nate Peterman. Woo!
Yep. Yeah. He couldn't even stick around on the Buffalo team where he was known by the coaching staff. And that Buffalo team, that's a good team now. They're a team now, and he couldn't even stick around on that team. I mean,
and fast forward years later, he's kicking his girlfriend out of his house on Instagram. Wow, that's how life goes.
Life comes at you fast.
Life comes at you real fast.
New York City does have mozzarella cheese, though. Mozzarella. Oh man, let me
wait. Was a Gettleman pick, right? He wasn't a Hurney pick.
He was Gettleman.
He was a Gettleman guy.
That was a Gettleman guy. Yeah.
I guess Dave still sees something in him. Hey, actually, though, I hope he has success. I hope all these young black guys in the NFL have success, and I hope he's able to mature and learn from the mistakes that he's made previously and be better for it, actually.
He's 31 years old now, man. So it's really now or never for him now. So,
yeah.
Big rats.
Cat
rats. Hey, man, look, man. So our North Carolina brother, Mr. Jermaine Cole, released a album this week on Friday, and me personally, man, I liked it. What do you guys think?
For wanting to sleep, I took some Benadryl.
Oh, hater.
Sleep, so it was good. I mean, this is the thing. I've always said this about J.Cole. Is that, man, does he have great timing as far as his career arc or what? Because I think people are so used to hearing dumb rap. And I'm not saying that kind of music is like bad. It has its value in hip hop. But people are so used to hearing that on the radio and social media that when a guy like J. Cole comes and he doesn't make dumb rap songs, I think everyone kind of elevates it to a little better. A lot of people are laughing. There are a lot of memes about that Super Mario Brothers line. I put an M on your head. Now you Luigi's brother now. And that's one of those things where, that's just like a super average bar. J. Cole didn't even think that's like a hot line. But everyone was like, oh, my God, you Luigi's brother now. It wasn't that good, y'all. The line wasn't that good. But, it was a good album.
Let me say this. I really hate following Kaza on music discussions, and for this reason. Kaza said everything I was going to say, but just a little differently. This is why I hate following this dude when we talk about music, man. I came on this show, and the first thing I was going to say is this, man. It is no secret I am an old, grumpy guy when it comes to hip-hop. And I elevate what we had in our era. I think it's the Renaissance era, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go off on a tangent on in that aspect. I listened to this J. Cole album. There's nothing wrong with this album. J. Cole is a solid MC. This dude, he has obviously mastered his craft when it comes to being a rhyme sayer and a lyricist. I take nothing away from this dude as an MC, man. He's definitely a good MC. I'm listening to the album and everything just kind of, and I don't mean this in a necessarily bad way, but everything is just kind of generic. Here's what I mean by that. It's like the beats bump and they're cool, but there's nothing groundbreaking to me. And I think I'm a victim of my era when it comes to that. I told somebody this today. I can't say anything bad about J. Cole, but here's this. When you listen to Ghostface Killer, you know it's Ghostface. That style is distinct. When you listen to Busta Rhymes,
that annoying
you know it's Busta Rhymes. You know it's him. J. Cole comes on, and it's just like, it kind of sounds like 5 other dudes I've heard before. It's not bad.
You're going, yeah.
No, okay. So when Revenge of the Dreamers 3 came out, I was like, "Where's J. Cole?"
Thank you.
You know, it was a bunch of people on the album, so right. Someone come on, and I'm like, "Okay, which one of these cats is J. Cole?"
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think he can adopt so many different styles, and
I think J. Cole. I mean, J. Cole's he's a good rapper.
Yeah, I never say he's bad. I mean, he can adapt so many styles, and
okay. I'll say this:
jack of all trade, master of none.
He's a better rapper than DaBaby, but I think DaBaby is more groundbreaking.
Absolutely,
DaBaby's impact.
But let me tell you, absolutely, because here's the thing with DaBaby. Now, when DaBaby has a song on radio, let's say there's a new DaBaby song that you haven't heard. The minute he starts rapping, you're like, "Oh, that's DaBaby."
That's right.
He has that distinct style, man, and that's what I have against J. Cole. Just like everything is just, it's not bad, it's not whack, it's just kind of generic, man.
See, man, I really hate when cats ask me about J. Cole because I have to be honest about it.
Same.
At the same time, he's a dude from North Carolina. You know, he's helping put our state on the map, and you know, I hope he has like super success. And you know, if he was in the studio, I certainly wouldn't kick him out of the cipher or anything like that. But I mean, at the same time, it's like it is what it is. I think J. Cole, you know, I think he might have one classic. It might have one classic, and it won't be till like 15 years from now that people go back and be like, "Ooh, that album was really good." And that
but let me speak to that real quick.
I think it's 2. I think you got a mixtape classic too.
But Kaiser, let me speak to that, man. This is why I'm trying my best not to be the old grumpy guy, because I feel like today's classics don't match up to classics. That's why it's so hard for me to kind of rate this album. You know what I mean? There is a song on this album that I do really dig. I really like this song, "Let Go of My Hand," that's on this album. He's talking about, you know, how much pressure it was to be tough, and he wasn't really that tough of a guy, and he related it to his squabble with Puffy. I think it's a really dope, creative song, and I like the way he told the story. I need more of that from J. Cole, because the way he put that song together, I was like, all right, this is some super creative stuff, man. So I'm really feeling that song on the album. It's definitely my favorite song from that album.
For me, man, I dig it, man. Like I was when I turned it on and I first heard Cameron, I was like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be different." Like I
was really disappointed when he didn't rap on the song, though.
Yeah. Like for me as a young guy, like Cameron, I love Cameron. Like Cameron's my dude. Like I like he's a different guy. Like it's a different style. Like we were talking about. Cameron, when you hear his voice, it's distinct. Kind of what we were talking about earlier. I like the song. I like the song with 21 Savage. He gets 21 Savage to rap a little bit and not.
I think that's like the standout song to most people. I think that's like the song that most people like on this album.
And then I actually like "The Pride Is the Devil" a little bit. But he got the flows. I don't know, man. It's better than KOD to me.
I want to insert something real quickly, and Kaz, I think you may agree with me on this one. When people mention North Carolina hip hop and North Carolina MCs, why isn't Fonte mentioned first? I know the answer to that question. That's completely rhetorical. But what do you think about that?
I like Fonte. Fonte can rap. I think J. Cole is better. And then I also think Rhapsody is better than him too.
No.
Rhapsody is cold. I'm sorry, Rhapsody is cold. You got
nah, she ain't Fonte, bro. No,
man, look, you got to stop that.
I think the reason that Fonte is not like the rapper from North Carolina has a lot to do with the industry.
Yeah, they don't sell records.
The ascension of Ninth Wonder and their mini beef with him, and just a lot of other stuff. It was, whenever you're in a group, because Little Brother was a group,
right?
It's very difficult to get any kind of individual recognition. And then if you leave the group, kind of like Little Brother went their separate ways for a little bit of time, you're still seen as Little Brother.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think that's why Fonte doesn't get his flowers like he deserves. Whether or not Rhapsody is better, I cannot agree with that. Not better than Fonte.
Look, Rhapsody's cold to me. I'm sorry.
I'd put her above J.Cole, but
wow.
I would put her above J.Cole.
I mean, I can't argue an opinion. I mean,
but
look, all three of them are cold to me. Look, if those three are your top rappers in your state, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
No, hey, that's a.
Hey, no, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, we hadn't even mentioned the baby.
I was just about to say that.
Look, I got an issue. I really have an issue. I think the baby now gets unnecessary hate a lot of times. But
I also think he brings it on himself. But continue.
He does bring it on himself, but like people hate on him, and it's just like, but you're still buying the music. And you're still requesting the songs. I hear him on the radio all the time, and he's showing versatility. I'm like, what do you want out of artists? You want a one-trick pony? I mean, I don't understand people.
Rodney, let me speak to that real quickly. I know we're running out of time, but let me speak to that real quickly, man. What works better than talent sometimes? Hustle. The baby is an A1 hustler, and not only just a hustler, but that dude is an A1 marketer of himself. Yeah. That dude knows how to market himself, and we know there's really no such thing as bad publicity. The baby has tons of pub, whether it's negative or positive. It all matters, and as long as people are keeping his name in their mouths, he's going to be successful, man. So that just comes with what he brings.
I'll say this about North Carolina rap.
Diverse.
It's very diverse, but I wish there was more of an explosion in which those artists bring people with them. When we look at, I remember, would we even know who the Saint Lunatics were?
No. If it was for Nelly, no, absolutely not.
Would we even know who D12 was if Eminem hadn't flown back to Detroit? And that's saying something, because Detroit actually had a pretty strong, Slum Village, Jay Dilla. But when the artists in those areas made it big, they brought everyone with, like, okay, I'm going and y'all coming with me. Nobody from North Carolina has done that. Now, I mean, I know J. Cole had Revenge of the Dreamers and these little projects but I'm talking like really those, like Nelly, like them dudes was on all his albums with him. D12 was on all M's albums. It was we haven't gotten that in North Carolina, and it's sad because there's so much talent here. I mean, it's dudes, it's guys I could call right now that could rap circles around J. Cole and Rhapsody, like so that you'll never hear, that you've never heard of.
And then the crazy thing is, to me, man, like with J. Cole, it's his two main underlings. Boz is from New York, JID's from Atlanta, and like and Lute is from here, but I don't think Lute gets that actual push to me. Like,
and to me, Lute is better than all of them. Honestly, to me.
You said what?
I said Lute is better than all of them to me, maybe except Cole. But this is my answer to that question, and it's a really short answer, man. Never underestimate record company politics. The record industry is exactly. It's a really grimy, dirty game, man. So just never underestimate politics, man.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna ride into the shout outs, man. I guess I'll go first and let you guys close it out.
Shout out to your background, man. That's pretty dope.
Green screen, man. Green screening it.
There you go.
Shout out to Rock Hill, man. Look, man.
Boom, boom, boom.
So some bonds weren't passed. They totaling $225 million for the Panthers practice facility infrastructure. And seems
like y'all better have my money.
But Mr. Temper, there's something going on called a pandemic, and I'm not a proponent of corporate welfare, and so I'm interested to see how this plays out.
This might be another one of those George Shinn New Orleans situations. You know, remember when he moved the Hornets there? They promised him a new stadium. Hurricane Katrina hit, and they were like, you know, we kind of got more important things. So, you know, he ended up selling the team. I'm not saying the Tepper will sell the team, but this isn't good.
Yeah.
No. And I want to shout out to the NBA Hall of Fame yesterday, man. It was excellent to see those guys get in. The Kobe thing, man, like that was one of my favorite players ever, man. And shout out to his wife. Shout out to Ben Wallace, Chris Bosh, Chris Webber, and other players for getting in the Hall of Fame today, man. Is much deserved. Respect.
I'm not going to shout out Ben Wallace because Ben Wallace was a major reason why the Hornets drafted Bismack Biyombo. They felt like he could be the same kind of player. It's true. A lot of people felt like Bismack Biyombo was going to be the next Ben Wallace, an undersized, strong, athletic.
Boom, 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 boom. I have only one shout out. Vanessa Bryant, your strength is like something out of this world, man. The Hall of Fame speech, man, was incredible. The ceremony was incredible, man. So just shout out to Vanessa Bryant, man, and her speech, man. And as always, continue shout out to everybody who continues to show up in the chat room every weekend, man, who continues to watch us and support us. We need y'all. We need y'all every week. So yeah, always continue shout out to y'all, man.
Yeah, shout out. Finally, shout out. We didn't talk about this last week because we weren't on the air, but shout out to Dan Morgan. Welcome back home.
Welcome back home, man. Yeah,
one of the best players in Panthers history. He's now an assistant GM, and we forget that he worked with Scott Fitterer in Seattle to build that team up, and then he went to Buffalo and helped build that team. So he's built two, pretty good teams, a championship team in Seattle, and then a contending team in Buffalo, and now he's back here. I think he'll do very, very good things for the Carolina Panthers.
And I want to add to that too, man. I love it when former players do shots like that because they have actual insight on just kind of what it takes from a player evaluation factor.
No doubt.
Also,
Carolina Hurricanes are a 1 seed.
Let's go, Canes.
Yep. Hey, I'm also Carolina Hurricane shorts. I feel like I'm part of the crowd now, man. I was looking at teams, man, and that's a no-go.
Game one is between the Predators and the Hurricanes. Tomorrow at 8:00, the Hurricanes have defeated the Predators, defeated them 3 times this season. The Hurricanes looked ready for a Stanley Cup run. So
Predators are Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, man.
South Carolina team to win around here.
Yeah. I mean, Raleigh will hold it over our head if they win a championship, but I'm still rooting for them. Guys, all right, man. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your continued support. Under construction, we're out.
Peace out, y'all.